Monday, August 12th, 2024, to order. If you could call the roll, please.
Steve Lewis,
Yes.
Matthew Armbruster, Dave Pierce.
Here.
Danielle Woodward. Here. Julie Kaufman.
Yes.
Steve West.
Here.
Doris Roberts.
Here.
And I am here.
Move on to community comments. I don't think anyone is here. Reports and presentations. Golden Park update, playground equipment proposal.
Yeah, so if you look through, I printed everything. The only thing Jason didn't get to me yet is the reconfiguration of what the ground will look like, but he did give me that price of what that would be. So it is less than what it was prior to. He took into consideration last board meeting that we wanted that to be more condensed, so that's how that price will reflect. I also included on here, kind of a view of the park, and then below it.
Hold on,
Yes,
can we go through this logically?
absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at the first page that we got here.
Yeah, let's talk about that one.
What am I looking at here?
So, to help with that, these are just the pieces of the equipment on
Okay,
this.
now, pieces of equipment for who? Is this all handicap equipment? Is this all of the equipment?
That is
What
all-
equipment, define for me what equipment is here.
Sure, to make that easier, I broke it down behind. So you can see, there's these sheets here. These are the only handicap equipment. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. are
So it's
the-
all gonna be mixed into one section. We're not gonna have a separate
Correct,
adapted.
correct. It'll be in the same vicinity, but it'll all be condensed like you guys wanted it before, to be more condensed, so we didn't have so much ground to cover. And again, we can take some of these out if you don't want all 4 pieces. I included the description of each of those pieces so that you better understand why those were selected. The one that I did keep in there, but we can take out, is the swing, which is number 4. Because the only reason I'd say take that out is because they do have one similar over on the handicap side where the baseball diamond is. But that's one place we could save money.
I have a question about number 2 on the key features.
Sure.
Is that, what material is that they're actually sitting on?
It's like this plastic, not plastic, but like a very dense cloth. You see it kind of similar to, he explained it, it'll explain it too on here.
Probably like sailcloth would be my guess.
A little bit sturdier than that, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Yep.
I'm just thinking about durability, that's all. And that is, located,
So that would be located.
that's between the 2 toys?
Yep,
Okay, got it.
yep, and that can even be condensed closer too if we wanted it to be.
So is 1 through 4 then the handicap designated equipment?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's why I broke those down, to make it more simple and you can kind of see more description, features, development benefits, which I thought were all very important.
Where is 3 located?
So 3 would be in the swings, where the swings would be.
Oh, okay, so it's one of the features of the swings.
Of the swings, correct, yep,
So where theirs is orange and blue, this one is yellow and,
Correct.
okay,
yep,
all right, that makes sense.
yep. And ours would be the yellow. It's, the picture that's shown in the, right here is just their sample that they had. a
So
close-
that would be, where's 4 then?
So 4 would be,
Is that part of it too? Would that be the extension of the swing?
yes, yep,
So like there'd be 4 sections?
Yep.
And not just 3?
yep. And again, like I said, we could take, the one swing out or both swings out. I just thought maybe one would be good if we wanna save money. They're about the same price, a little bit more for the double up one. And then I tried to give a view of the park, and then below it, have the layout. The 4 park benches that are kind of floating, that's just around the current basketball court.
Okay, that makes sense too. I have a question back to the swings.
Sure.
Both of those are in the middle section, so it goes like the regular swings and then the adapted swings and baby swings.
Yes. But we can put them in any order, he said. So the location of all of these are exactly the same places that we currently have equipment at. We're not
Mhm.
it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is there's even a, where, which one was it? Number one, where that is, there's even a piece of cement already there, that's a circular cement that's just empty.
Okay.
And that can be repurposed for that as well.
I have a question too about the sensory, features.
Sure.
Are there any pieces that come off?
No.
So what do they do?
Well, if you look under the features development benefits, that's sensory, spinal awareness, I mean, it depends on which piece of equipment, but that is listed underneath there. Under each one. Sensory, social, cognitive,
What page is that on?
it's on each one, whichever piece of equipment you want.
Okay.
It lists the features and the development
I
benefits
wasn't Anywhere near
of
that.
each one.
Because I learned from working with them the last time that those were expensive pieces of equipment, and I just wondered what exactly they did.
And I do have that broken down in the back as well.
I'm not seeing that.
So that 265, is that for
The back
everything?
page, got it.
So
Where
the-
are we at financially?
So I have that broken down further in. And again, financially, I tried to piece together what Charlie had, that I got from Jessica and what I currently have. And I printed those right before I came, so you're welcome to pass them in, they're kind of small. I am showing Sherman came in at 374. He is showing 30, like less. He's showing 304. So that's where him and I need to compare where we're at, but he's showing that we came in less than what we had anticipated, which is great for
Yeah.
Sherman.
Well, we have to keep it at whatever we approved for now until the
We're-
scope changes.
Yeah, we're under that.
Okay.
What did we have left from that 2 million?
So that amount,
That's on like the second to last page or whatever, is that?
alright. So, I just got that from.
I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds, just 1 second.
Should we look at option one or option two here as our actual
Option 1,
one?
yep.
Page.
We got 375 reserved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking, trying to find what page you're on, David, for finances.
No, I think I have it here. Oh, wait.
Oh, you got a separate page, I was gonna say, I don't see it
Maybe.
here.
I didn't look deep enough in here.
What I thought was just for immediate needs, that's not a real financial statement.
Right.
And I have no way to get that, that's
Yeah,
something that he would
that's
have.
something.
So we don't have a financial statement.
I have the final number that Scott Tadish just emailed me, I'm trying to find it now. I apologize, I'm waiting on a lot of people sending me stuff.
Yeah, what's in here is just funding priorities that were part of something that has been out there for a while.
It's a long list.
Yeah, none of, that was somewhat
with that, before Sherman Park was deducted, $1,417,412.49
Is what was spent or what is left?
is what's left before Sherman Park was taken out. That's taking out Smith Park, and little ins and outs that.
Mhm.
So you said it was 1 million what?
Four.
So it would be like 1.1 roughly.
But that's before Sherman
That's
Park?
before
Hold-
the
hold
Sherman
on,
Park
hold on.
equipment.
We start with 2 million, okay? And then that means that somewhere 582, 588 came out to get to the 1,000,004.
Is that Smith Park
Right.
bathrooms?
Smith Park bathrooms
I
were,
thought they were
like
only quartering million.
They were like 240.
That's what I was thinking too. I don't know how we got that low.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how where did 582 come from?
I don't know, because it shouldn't be 582.
Yeah,
I assumed we were more at 1.7 when we started this whole venture.
That's
that's,
what I thought
Okay,
too.
that's because it was made very clear to me that we don't have 2 million.
Mhm.
Then it was 1.7, so that's always been but then from there, I stopped because I don't have these numbers in front of me. But that seems rather deep.
1.7 after the bathroom.
Yeah, because.
yeah, that's,
So this is what I get when I ask Scott to have it.
I don't know how we spent
That's what I got back
$600,000
when I
without
said, where are
including
we?
Sherman.
I wonder if there was some
They don't send me
maintenance or.
balance sheets. I don't
Yeah.
see any of that.
We'll have to
Would they,
clarify what-
they charge us everything for every piece of asphalt and light and cameras but that still shouldn't be that much.
I suspect this 1,000,004 is after some expenses at Sherman Park. Because he's saying, I don't see any
Right, he's just
pay.
saying the Schneider. So some of the expenses from Sherman probably did come out, but Schneider, the
We needed to
equipment
see a
hasn't.
full accounting.
Yes, we do.
We need to see a full general ledger accounting. We don't have,
I asked
That-
for that. That's what I thought we were gonna have today.
That's what I got back.
I think if we went with 1,750,000, or conservatively, if we had 1,750,000, and then we take off what we know we've allocated for Sherman Park, if we include our contingency of 5%, we've gotten allocated 374,867. So if I took 1,000,007,
So the email I'm sending Scott right now is the Parks Board would like to see a whole ledger to see how we came to this number.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
1,325,000, just roughly, 1,325,000 is what's available after we apply 370, almost 375,000 for Sherman, off the 1,000,007.
That's what I was thinking too.
So I think to answer your question, it's 1,325,000, I think.
Okay.
I think his number is net of some things that already got paid.
Well, I already asked, number one, whose money is coming out with the employees sitting there all weekend, all for the last week and a half? Did that come out of Parks, or did that come out of General Fund of Public Works? I don't know. I'm guessing. But, I mean, as soon as I saw the truck there, I'm going, okay, who's paying for this? And it wouldn't surprise me that it wasn't told to us, but I don't know. So that's one. I don't think there was any extra tree work. If there was, it was over at Goldman. We had to touch up. Nothing at Sherman.
It wouldn't be $500,000.
No, it wouldn't be $500,000 by any stretch, right? So, I'm trying to think in my head where else some of this could have gone. Now, I don't know what I don't know what it was when they tore everything out and where that money was going or coming from. I would assume coming from Parks, that they're tearing out the material that was there. And that went okay. It wasn't from a private contractor's quickness, but it got done. So, I would say it's, if in fact that number sticks, and then I'll be quiet about it because there's no sense of assuming things, I would say it's some extra labor that got thrown in from the city that they're taking out from us.
Yeah, we
That I would like to have some communication about, again, not knowing if it is or isn't.
Right.
But we at least could have some heads up. Because this is how we get into problems,
Yes.
right?
I mean,
Spending
is it,
stuff we don't have.
is it something that, I mean, I don't know what I'm allowed, I asked the questions you guys asked me to ask, am I allowed
You
to
just
say?
need a
no?
ledger sheet. I mean, it's all public record,
It's general ledger and shows every transaction.
correct, Steve? I mean.
Every
yeah,
debit-
we're-
every
we're-
debit
I
to
can-
the
If
account.
I have to, I'll go file, for
Okay.
a disclaimer of what
Yeah.
Well, I sent
work
it.
employees
We can-
did.
We can get it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I sent the email, so we'll see
Okay.
what they,
I have a question, was the 1.7 or the 2 million original, even including the bathrooms and all of that, was it designated for capital improvements or just the overall budget for parks?
Parks. No, it was for park improvements.
Park
improvements.
improvements.
So I was assuming that it was capital improvements, and so it wouldn't be day-to-day expenses.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
so that's what we need to see.
But, so what are you implying?
Well, that's why I can't understand how that, it seems to me that maybe some things that were capital improvements had to be gotten in there, because there's no way that got that low that fast.
I would make the suggestion that we just need to wait
Okay.
and hear.
So-
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but
No,
I'm
but I
gonna do the
was,
same
you were
thing.
correct with capital improvements, that's what I wanted to know, I thought
Who-
maybe
who knows-
somehow.
Who knows
the
what
overall
could be
budget.
going on, and this, and at the same time, they may be wrong on their end on this number, giving a number. But I think it's prudent that we just ask it, let's get the right number here. All we can do is wait.
Okay.
And I would put on there, Jerry, on a follow-up is like now.
Yeah, I'll be
Please.
down there first thing in the morning. So,
So when it comes to the 4 pieces, I don't really see just from I don't think having all 4 of them would be unreasonable, do you guys?
What's the cost?
So the total cost for equipment,
Wait,
No.
1 through 4.
1 through 4.
She has the individual on there, so like, for example, if you already have the swing superstructure in place,
Right.
so for example, number 4 would be about $1,200.
Where does it say that?
On the,
I think the only one he
Okay.
wasn't sure the price of
number 1.
Is
is number 1, and that would be in the moment, getting a exact on that, but the rest of them are listed.
Okay.
But you said there's already a swing like number 4 in the park.
Further down by the fields.
Is it still like 12 weeks? on
So the
order?
big thing right now, is the ground that's going in. That has to go in before it hits less than 40 degrees. So we are pushing, if we don't get it going, it's not gonna go in this year.
Talking about the rubber.
Probably need to move on this stuff tonight, cause then,
Well, how can we do, we don't even know what money we have.
You would, I mean, the
Well-
only thing I can think to do is say don't exceed, I mean, I don't know what else to do.
we
Yeah.
know worst case scenario it would be 1.1 sitting there.
And it's not nowhere near that.
Right. Worst case scenario would be 1.1.
For the ground and the equipment, freight, install, everything is $350.90.
All right, so can you show me where that breakdown is here?
You just said that.
Okay, does the play equipment have to be down before they can put the rubber? Since that has to be anchored, and surely they're not.
I don't know which order, it sounded like they were going coinciding. His biggest concern was getting that down before it got 40 degrees.
Put us in late November.
He seemed to think mid-October is when it would start being installed.
Okay, that's good.
And that's pushing it, he said, with that 40 degrees, cause some nights, it can hit that, so.
I was thinking we would probably have to get it on the agenda as
The
an
20th.
emergency,
I already talked to Nathan.
cause if not, it'll be
Yep,
after Labor Day. And then,
yep. He already knows. present it and move it.
So this equipment design is for both the handicap equipment and regular playground, except we don't know what number one costs.
Right, but it is, in that, he said that would be worst case scenario.
Okay,
The goal would be to go under that.
okay. So this surface, can we talk about why, like, we would do everything
Sure.
under this surface versus this rubberized surface just for the handicap accessibility?
Mhm.
And perhaps, I mean, why were we recommending everything is rubberized here?
So they can get from point A to point B to get to the equipment, but also, in talking with Charlie, he said that stuff is great for maintenance compared to,
Wood chips.
wood chips and things like that, so, it's very low maintenance, and there's the life warranty stuff on it, so, he really liked that a lot better.
What's the total cost of the rubber for what's proposed?
He's got the sheet.
$134,650, which is $23.50 a square foot.
Are you done with that, David? Don't let me take it away from you.
No.
I'm done. Okay. I'd like to see it. Thank you.
And that's the solid
Yeah.
piece,
I-
which the lifespan on that's pretty long, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like, that stuff is crazy,
the DuraPlay,
yeah.
it's back here, it talks about the description, the composition, the quality assurance.
Is there a walkway from the parking lot? Will there be a walkway from the parking lot?
Yes, there can be, yes,
It doesn't, I can't tell from this picture.
right.
Well, kind of. No, that's not parking lot, never mind.
It shows the walkways and the movement. Right?
From,
You see it.
from the parking to the playground equipment, yes.
Where, I'm trying to find.
Third page.
Dave, did you wanna say anything else about this rubberized?
Well, I'm not a
Too
huge
far.
fan of it, because in the summertime, it heats up, and it's gonna burn
Oh,
feet.
you don't have.
So he,
It's
Well,
gonna
there you go.
burn, it's
That's
gonna,
what the,
I did
I
ask
don't
him that
have
question,
that.
and
I
his
just
response
have
back
this.
is the rubber gets hot, but it's never, I've never heard of anyone complaining about being too hot for kids to play on.
Here we go.
I've never walked on it, I'll be honest, I've never walked on it in hot weather. But I suspect, I mean, they're used to working with that material, I wouldn't think that they would make something that kids can't walk on.
bare feet, it is it is hot.
Is it a lighter color that,
We can pick any color.
so what if we did a light color?
I don't remember the color, I mean, when Steve and I went and looked at that playground, where was that? Oh, in Lebanon.
Morrow, South Lebanon.
Morrow.
Mhm.
They
Well,
had that rubberized down, and it was spring, and it probably wasn't 70 or 80 degrees. And it was hot, I wasn't gonna take my shoe off and walk on it. I'm just concerned about the user experience, unless he's gonna tell me that that is different and is a maximum temperature associated with it.
Let me see if it
I would
says.
love to see some specs on that, because I've been looking at this for 20 years, since I first put Jaco Park in, I considered this, and the issue then was the heat of the rubberized surface.
It says under the composition of it that it's
And I'd like
thermoplastic
Danielle to see it as well.
mixed with.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with this, we need to find a place, you need to go and you need to experience it. You need to go on, we've still got some hot days left.
So
What
is
about
it,
the
I'm
track
assuming
at
it's different
high
than,
school? Isn't it?
it's different than the one that's at Lefferson, cause I went over to touch the Lefferson one and it wasn't hot to me, and that was,
I don't know that.
yeah. So, but I don't know if it's the same.
So can you find out from Jason where this material is? Where could we go, where can I go to see it? Where else has it been installed? Thanks.
I can actually text him that right now.
I get why wood chips aren't ideal, and I understand the maintenance side of all of it. I just wanna make sure the user experience is meeting our
Absolutely.
expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
My guess is that wood chips are far better for the able child, but if you're looking for adaptive.
Well, I think for the adaptive, it gets this rubberized surface. I don't think there's any question, you need this adaptive
Right.
for them, which means your layout will change because you'll just group this equipment more closely together as opposed to having it all spread out.
The way I would approach it, the way I look at it, number one, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Number two, take this the right way. My children would be wearing shoes all the time, no matter what. If they're on wood chips, so they don't get splinters. Number two, for just that purpose, that it's hot, it's a hot surface. But the surface is there for a main purpose, is to help other children that don't have the flexibility of walking or whatever to get around. I think, I appreciate where you're coming from, Dave. I also look at, I would look at it more, are kids trying to sit down on this and play with some toys? So they might burn their thighs, burn their legs. Again, I'm splitting hairs, okay? If it's a hot surface, it's a hot surface. I'm not trying to,
Right.
but I would,
Jason is available.
you know, we're only liable for so much when you come onto a playground, right? I mean, it's kind of playground person beware. So where I'm going with this is, do we save money? But the same, for the feet, the same application to me falls, and that is, you need to have shoes on, no matter what. You just should have shoes on. I'm sure that will not happen, but that's just kind of what I'm suggesting. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but that's just another angle from this. I like this stuff, I think it's nice. I don't like the price.
Right.
That's where I'm at for it more than anything. I just think it's a chunk of money. But I did want to get back to the primary thing, and that is, these kids need to have shoes on. If we need to get a couple signs up for over at Sherman, that we're recommending you wear shoes, then we need to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
But,
We're not putting this in a Sherman though.
the wood chips,
The wood chips, he's
yeah, that's all I'm saying, because I think it's a good point you bring it up, and with just another way of protecting ourselves, or trying to protect the public.
Yeah.
So-
So what do we really save though? What's the cost benefit analysis here? What do we really
Right.
save? I'd like to see that analysis done. If this is gonna last 20 years, what would we otherwise spend in 20 years on mulch?
That
We
would be
say-
a Charlie question.
Yeah, we need to see that. We need to inspect what we expect.
The other question would be too, would it be an option, I don't know, Jason is available for us to call on speaker if we would like to answer some questions. But one of the questions to ask too, maybe, can we get the equipment and stuff in, do wood chips, and then revisit the surface in the spring or summer?
Well,
I don't know the answer to that, I'm just throwing that out as a possibility.
I mean, I'm always somebody that hates to touch things twice. You
Right.
know,
I
you do it,
agree.
right, we've all said that.
Right.
We all kind of work that way.
Yep.
I think you either have to pick this service right away or not.
Yeah.
Because there's concrete under the layers.
So do you want me to call Jason or no? He could answer quite a lot of these questions.
I mean, he can, I mean, I'm guessing he's going to, for him, if you'd like to call him, that's fine. I'm good with it, but I think, you know, is the surface hot? Well, yeah, I mean, if it goes 10, 12 days in the 90s with no cloud cover,
Right.
it's probably gonna be hot. So then we need to make the determination, is that good for the kids or not? Give him a ring real quick. Please, and thank you for reaching out to him.
Yep.
And I thought the same thing, I was looking for his business card, I don't have him on my phone.
He's on speed dial anymore.
Hey, Derek.
Hey, so we have the board here, and we're trying to make some decisions so that we can get this moving. So I'm just gonna kinda, hand the phone over to different board members that have questions specifically about the surface, so that we can get that ball rolling.
All right.
So, Jason, talk to us a little bit about this surface, why you're recommending it for this particular project here?
So we have several ADA compliant pieces on here. So we want that nice, kind of firm, like aesthetic surfacing for wheelchair accessibility. When Jerry and I first sat down and talked about it, we knew that we wanted to put some extra ADA pieces on here, to make that, a little more available for the community. And we, as we look at the inclusive spinner especially, that pretty much needs to have some sort of a water-place rubber or turf system around it. You can't really put mulch or rubber mulch around that.
Got it.
So
Yep.
that was the idea behind this, was like, hey, if you want this really nice surfacing, it's very aesthetic, it's very, very appealing, and it's a very nice surface. So that was the approach we took on that. That way it's a lot more accessible for wheelchairs.
Yep. Okay.
Plus, it's a phenomenal play surface anyway, so.
Talk to me about the useful life.
The what now?
Useful life.
The life of it, how long does it last?
Oh, I'm sorry. So typically, of course, we can't tell or determine how much foot traffic you're gonna have on a daily basis. But this product, it does carry a warranty, and I have to dig into those warranties for you, but I know, it's 7 to 10 years, before you really have any concerns, from what I'm seeing. It's like a piece of leather, it's rubber, it's gonna expand and contract with the weather. And eventually you're gonna see some stress cracks, but those aren't like, hey, these are warning signs, that this is gonna be a terrible product. Once we get to that point, and again, it could be, I doubt that it's any more than, less than 5 years, 5 to 7 years. We go back and we just kind of fill those cracks with some material, and I'll always try to leave some bags of material behind for the Parks Department to do that with. So it's a great product. The only other thing that I would consider above that is probably turf, but that would mess with the pricing a little bit differently.
So have you got materials that talk about the cost of this over a 20-year period versus the cost of mulch, and what that maintenance looks like? This surface versus mulch over an extended period of time?
Yeah, so there's been some studies done. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but essentially when it comes to the wood fiber, the mulch, it's definitely required that you take every bit of it out every 5 or 6 years, because you get so much decomposition on the bottom of it. And every 2 to 3 years, you should take the top about 3 or 4 inches off and replenish that. And then again, once every 5 to 6 years, depending on how much drainage you got there, if it drains well, it'll last longer. But it's definitely required that every 5 or 6 years, you take every square foot of mulch out and put all brand new stuff in.
Yeah, I get that. Do you have any numbers to show us what that looks like?
I would have to find that information. I know that we've talked about it with our team's meeting with Snyder. If I can study it here or not, I'll find it and definitely send it over to Jerry though.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the heat of this material. I've been to other rubberized surfaces like this. I thought they were extraordinarily hot on just like 70 or 80 degree days with the sun beating down on them. Thought it was really hot for a child to either be around in bare feet or sitting down on it or laying on it, whatever. Talk to me about the temperature tolerance. What can we expect the temperature of this to get to, or what does it have in it that limits its exposure for it to get really hot?
Yeah, so I mean, it is, of course, it's the rubber that's going to draw the heat. But what I will say is, I don't see too many kids running around barefooted, and they certainly wouldn't do it in mulch, typically. I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen, of course, but I have not yet, in the 6 years that I've been doing this, I haven't had a single complaint about the surface being too hot on water-based rubber. I get the same question with turf, and it's I have not had that issue. Nobody that I'm aware of has called and say, hey, we've had complaints about the water-based rubber being too hot. And it seems, of course, like it's going to draw the heat and hold the heat, but it's not going to be so much to the point to where it's going to burn a child. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, the warmer it gets, the more sunshine you have, the less UV protection you have with cloud coverage, the hotter it's going to get. So, but I mean, it's an incredibly popular surfacing. We install it all over the country, so.
Where is it installed near us here in Middletown?
Trying to think of, I'm sure there are some parks in that area nearby that would have some port-in-place rubber. I have to do some research for you. I personally don't have any projects with port-in-place in that area. The handful that I've done are way down in Clarksville, Indiana. We've got some out in Scioto County. We did do a Franklin Furnace Park out there right on the river just last year. I don't know that I personally have any projects in that area that has port-in-place rubber.
Okay.
But I can do that too. You know, I will definitely look up and do some studies on the wood fiber, and the port-in-place. I'll see if I can find some studies for you in regards to, what's the difference between this and that, the temperatures of the surface for port-in-place. So, but it's like I said, it's a very popular surfacing, and it's kind of preferred over a lot of, obviously, the rubber mulch and the wood fiber mulch. So, it's just usually not the most affordable. Obviously, wood fiber is your least expensive of the products that we have. So.
Right. Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
Jason, Steve, thank you for taking our call. And just a footnote, the Franklin's new park that they put in that, it's David, that may have this surface.
I think it does.
Oh, yeah.
On 123.
You mean, right, yeah.
I think they may have it. Jason, just real quickly, have you been back to Sherman?
I was gonna get there today, Steve, but my first stop took way too long.
That's okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
Just
so
curious,
I'll
just,
be back up in that area probably on Wednesday. I know that they got the mulch blown in. Still kind of waiting to hear back in regards to what we want to do with, the grading, the
Yeah.
contouring of the dirt that's around there.
yeah, I'm kind of waiting on Charlie to get back, because he really needs to be in on that conversation, and in my
Yeah,
opinion,
okay.
in my
I
opinion.
know, obviously, he had the loss in the family
Yeah,
last week,
yeah,
so I
okay.
haven't been too pushy on that.
Okay, super, all right, that's all I needed, and thank you for taking our call.
All right.
Thanks, Jason, I'll be in touch.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
All right, bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
So would it be possible, I mean, just a thought, is to maybe just, use the synthetic equipment or the synthetic flooring under just, group all of the adapted equipment together and wood chip the other? I mean, is that a possibility? If we wanted to do it like that, put all adapted one place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
sure, that's an option.
That is an option.
That might take the price down, because when you look at this picture, the majority of the expense looks to me to be, the big toy and small toy, and maybe we could just group those together.
So put,
I don't know, it's just a
Yeah.
thought, might reduce the cost.
ADA area.
Yes.
And then
Well, for one, I know some
Part of-
parents might have two separate kids, but my guess is their focus is gonna be on one child or another, and.
then are we doing away from the swing?
Well, maybe that's, I personally don't like synthetic under swing first place, just because, kids are gonna jump, you can tell them not to jump, whatever to jump, but they're gonna land on that. I prefer them landing on a
Where they
wood
get
chip.
splintered? I'm joking,
I have never, ever seen a child,
I understand.
So we would
I'll tell you, the only kids that go barefoot on toys, junior high, high school. They're screwing around, they're but they're burning their feet on the slides, they're going up backwards and all that. But, the reality is the kids are gonna jump off those swings and landing on, it would seem to me to be better to land on wood chips than that. But, at least when I was looking at this picture, I thought if we grouped, did a grouping better, and you could just have, a pathway from the parking lot to that area, and you wouldn't need to, make it to all the other areas. The only other thing I could see which you might wanna put it to would be to the, shelter. Because if you were gonna use that, you had an adapted area, I would want a way to get my child
It's a good idea.
to the shelter, and you could put it all at that end. Like
My
where the
only
swings are listed
concern-
here?
Here's my only, because I've worked with special needs, take it or leave it, is making them feel pigeonholed in a special area. That may be good for some, and some may want to know why they're not allowed to play intermixed with the other kids.
You know, come back to cost too, I was just
Right.
thinking
Oh,
about
yeah.
bringing the
I'm
cost
just-
down.
Again, I'm just throwing that out there. It does not have to be, we can, it's,
And also, you know, it looks to me like there's a fitness area that might be included in that cost, and I don't believe that we have.
no, that was an old,
Okay,
he
why,
never reconfigured that. So he just,
And
where
the-
possible fitness could go is where you don't have to put it there.
okay, well, I was just, you know, looking at, and, you know, what I was thinking is that, you know, if we would put it all, like, even like switch the place where the swing is, move the swings down there to where they currently are, put adapted here, and then straight pathway to shelter. You know, you could have it all at that end, and you could cut your cost in half because you wouldn't need as much material.
But when you include the fact that you're gonna have to replace that wood chips and the labor and that cost.
That was Charlie's concern.
Yeah.
What
that
do
was
we
Charlie's
have, what do
concern.
we have at Sunset going from adapted equipment? Is it all concrete?
Sunset.
Sunset has some adapted equipment.
Which adaptive equipment do they have? I don't.
Actually, I,
Um,
yeah, there's at least a swing and some
There's a
others.
swing.
There's an infant swing where you can sit the kid on one side.
There's another one, there's one bigger one.
You know, one for a mom and a kid.
Yeah, that's what that is. The mom sits on it and the infant sits on it.
Okay, what about the merry-go-round? That's not adapted?
This one is.
I understand that.
But
the
not
other one isn't,
Sunset.
looked funky, that's all.
That's the
So
one
when I
where you
looked
can
at
get flung off.
Yes,
That's just-
very easy.
a typical, not old enough style for me.
For this one, like, Jason did make a good point, because it's flush to the ground, it kinda has to be
Yeah,
on.
I understand that. I understand that.
But if it's just a reconfiguration, then we just say, hey, what's a reconfiguration? And so that we can do wood chips.
And do we know that, I know you said the costs are listed on all of the pieces of equipment in here. Where are they listed? I know the adapted equipment is listed, but the rest of the equipment is listed where?
He
Am I
didn't give
missing
me
it?
a breakdown, let me make sure, he may have. He gave me a breakdown, but I don't think the breakdown has the pricing, that would have to do with it, he just gave me the total amount.
Okay.
So if you wanna go each item,
Now, I tell you what, I'm not in favor of are the sensor equipment, just because it's not moving, I'm not a big fan. And I know they're expensive, just the panels, they're expensive, they're non-moving, it's non-active. I'm just not a super big, and it would take an area, but I'm not a super big fan of
you
it.
can take those out. And that brings the price down.
So I think from a schedule perspective, what I would recommend, since tonight we're not gonna be able to make a decision, is that tonight we should move on. You guys should vote on a not to exceed number. Then we can get that not to exceed legislation for council next week. That way we can go from there. Then, once Jerry hears back on some reconfiguration, maybe removing some pieces, we can just call special park board meetings and execute up to that not to exceed. I think that's what we should do.
Should we include the flooring, or, you know, the,
I would include that, like, so your not to exceed number really should be, with a variance, it should be 370.
Yeah.
With a 5% variance on that. 370.
Knowing that I can take stuff out, it's gonna
Yeah.
come lower.
I would just do that not to exceed number, and then from there, you can execute against that. We can call 30, hopefully not, special meetings, and
How solid are his prices, Jerry, do you know?
Solid.
For how long?
He didn't tell me
Oh,
that.
okay,
but
I'm just asking.
He was most concerned about the temperature, if we're gonna do that ground.
So, a thought here. If this particular flooring goes in, I mean, we've really made a very high-end park, in my opinion. I mean,
people will come here for it.
It will really step that area up real quick. So then I start looking at all the other things that are around it and making things a lot nicer looking from the curb all the way in to the park. I'm just bringing this up in the sense of, Midway's going to be there, I guess, a while, but, how much more do we put into this park to help keep up with this? In a sense, I'm probably putting my words.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm not for it or against it. I'm just saying, this really ups the game
Yeah.
to that corner. And, we got fields that need to be dealt with, we got fencing that needs to be dealt with, we got an old
Building.
staircase that needs to be built with, we got a building that needs to get dealt with, which I'm still lost on that whole thing. And Steve, that would be nice if you get a minute, or Jerry, where are they at? Have they gotten 2 more bids or not? Because we're supposed to pay for that.
Yeah.
So, that's how I'm looking at this. I don't have a problem. I think it's expensive. But to go with all this very nice equipment, to make sure that these kids, any child feels welcome to this park, is fine. What takes away from me as a disabled park in a sense, what little bit is there is way down on the other end,
Yeah.
right? And I always forget about that. Whereas our thinking is we're gonna move it all over to this corner. And I don't have a problem with that either. But again, there's big things changing over there, and how does that spill into the rest of the park? And are now we going to kind of hold user groups to getting the thing up and going in a nice way? Schwarber has the best intentions, I get all
Right.
that. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, but that's my 2 cents of it.
Bringing up
I don't have
some-
a problem with it. It's expensive, but it really does change that whole area over there. And it kind of forces the hand of everyone kind of getting involved, the neighborhood. Do we try and go over to Cliffs, which is a whole nother topic I'll leave alone for the moment, to help clean the park up? Thank you for a minute. That's all I wanted to say on, if we decide to do that.
It's a big investment when you think almost, $400,000, when you think about all the needs of the overall park. Is that where the money should go? Again, it's something to consider.
Yeah, and it's not that you guys aren't thinking about that. Dave brought, it's a fancy surface. In layman's terms, it's fancy. Is it really necessary throughout the whole playground area?
But the equipment's fancy too. This is fancy
Yeah, oh,
equipment.
no.
The whole thing.
I'm very curious to go over, I had no idea. I asked last guy that was over there when they thought they were gonna blow the mulch in over there, and I didn't know they had already done it, so I kinda
It's not all in.
Okay, okay.
We still have
okay.
tons more to do.
But I agree with Steve. I think we need to move, because we got other things we need to follow. I'm not trying to push everybody, but I think just what Dave did at our last meeting, which was, our meeting with Sherman, I would say we would take a vote on not to exceed a certain limit.
And with Jason, with Sherman, immediately after you guys did that, we had some reconfiguring to do before it was presented, and
Right.
he got on it, and I'm gonna push for that to try to get on it.
We couldn't ask for a better representative.
You've been happy with his execution.
He stayed there with me for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
After,
he's
when you had to
wonderful.
leave, he stayed there with me and put up with a lot of bull mess. And we changed benches, we've changed benches, we changed configuration. That guy never beat a smile. He
Right.
smiled about it and said, dude, this is what you wanna do. He saw what I saw as far as a little bit of grading that has to be done, so yes.
Well, I'd like to see us get this rubberized surface in one of our parks, right? The size and scope of it is a different question in my mind, but I'd at least like to get it in this city, in this town, to see how it performs.
I
Right,
can't
I
think
think
of
we
what-
need to know,
That's what I was thinking, out of all the parks,
That's the
it
best
would
part to do
be
it.
Coleman to me.
yeah. What's going through my head is, do
With
we
the dream
limit it?
catchers and all that stuff.
Yes.
It seems
Yeah.
like the right.
It's absolutely appropriate to do it here.
Yeah.
My only thing in my head is, do we do all of this playground area, or do we do just the adaptive equipment area and group the adaptive equipment, not thinking about the unintended consequence of grouping that equipment together and those children may be feeling isolated. I don't
Yeah.
want them to feel isolated.
Right.
That's a very good point,
Yeah,
Jerry, and
I
I think
agree.
we all are
I would want
very, very sensitive to that.
Because part of their, developmental is interacting with every
Exactly.
kid. and
But
so-
part of this is also jumping off of it too.
Right,
You know, and when you jump off, if you're landing on something, better to jump into wood chips than a hard surface.
Yeah.
And just a
That's the
footnote,
only
and
thing,
just a
too.
footnote to the panels, and this is not to be critical at all. I took a picture, several pictures, and put it to my family before I did any type of posting with it, and I sent it to the kids, because they know how involved we all are in trying to get these parks. And my daughter is a speech pathologist, and works with some really tough kids. I mean, they are very challenged, I mean, tough. And she just absolutely almost cried when she saw those panels of hands, braille. She said that is so important to see. Again, a little glimpse of other people's world, right? That we sometimes don't all consider. But Sam was like, if you could do that in every park, you would not believe how more interaction you get out of them, because it's something they recognize. It's something they've been hearing and seeing about in their whatever form of education they're getting. Now they actually see it.
yes.
So, is it 0.5%? Probably, if even that, of the kids that'll come up there and visualize it. But that, I just wanted to point that out there, that she said more parks, more cities should do that to help with development skills. So, just a footnote.
What seems small is really big.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So somebody make a motion, if we're gonna
So
do
is there
this.
anything else we have to approve for this park tonight? Or is
Just-
this
Just the
three?
end all, and then I will shoot to come in lower.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the equipment design, freight costs, install for the equipment and the poured rubber surface in an amount not to exceed $350,982.
David, is that the exact number, or do we wanna raise
Do
that
you
a
wanna
little?
do a not to exceed on there?
You wanna put your 5% on there?
Well, this is just for the equipment, so would we expect,
That's the ground and the equipment, that's everything.
okay.
Okay,
So my goal is to come below that.
okay,
I'm gonna do it.
okay.
So I would say, Steve, if we had some other things that we were doing that we weren't real sure of, but given Jason's history of being really
Okay,
accurate.
okay.
Yep.
I mean, if you think we need to go over that,
I'm gonna,
we can go 5% over.
it's up to you, I'll go under either way. If you'd rather over and then me come
I'd
under.
rather be over,
Okay.
please.
5%
Just
is
a suggestion.
17,005, so 350, 982. So it would be $368,531.
Not too.
So I'll amend my motion to 368,531.
Do we have a second?
Who's second?
Second.
Jerry, a vote please, or names please?
Steve Lewis,
Yes.
Dave Pierce.
Yes.
Daniel Woodward,
Yes.
Julie Kaufman.
Oh, my no has nothing to do with the cost of that. My no has everything to do with we don't have a financial statement.
Oh,
That's my protest to the non-financial statement,
Yeah.
when we should be looking at one at every meeting, and I specifically asked for it, so. That's just my problem with that. We really don't know what we have.
I get it.
I don't have any problem with 368. I have a problem with the financial statement.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's something we should
So
get.
the motion passes. Sherman Park,
concrete work update, they haven't started the final of that yet. Again, I've been trying to connect with Charlie, but I'm trying to give him a little bit of grace because of the death in his family.
Concrete work in what terms?
Anything else that has to get pulled up or fixed, that kind of stuff, just anything concrete related.
Okay, well, they're, okay.
So is this
So-
the pad
so
for
it's
the shelter?
asphalt, okay.
No, not yet, just anything that's being pulled up or any concrete, anything that he has for it.
Okay.
Equipment update, it's installed, it still has the warning, don't get on it, stuff on it. They are doing the wood chips, it's not completed yet, so that stuff's still up there, it's not free-for-all yet for kids. So it's still considered safety. The grading and stuff, again, Steve, you said you need to get with Charlie about that.
Yeah, I mean, just to give my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna have to do something with it.
The basketball court timeline, my understanding as of last week is they are starting that, in the first week of September, and it won't take long once,
We're keeping the backstops and things the same, right? Okay.
spiffing them up. Yep.
And then I just had a question, and I should have, and I had this written down, I forgot to look, I got too many things written down in too many different places. The old equipment, is it coming or is it staying or going?
It's going,
Okay.
yeah.
But, so just at his leisure when he gets ready to
Yeah.
get into it? Okay.
My understanding is that's coming in the next week or so
Okay.
to be pulled and prepped for the shelter, which is also going in the first week of September. So the shelter and the basketball court should coincide as they're being installed.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions about Sherman Park update? Old
Has everybody
bus-
been by there?
Yes.
Okay.
Old business, cameras are in and going up.
Yeah, we have another one we have one up going already in Sherman, but we are gonna put up, Nathan said, yes, we can put up another one in Sherman. We're gonna put a stick in the center to give better reception and better view as well, so there will be 2 in Sherman.
Is the one camera that's up live and working?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I know Troy was working on that.
He bought cameras for all of the parks. He's not put them all up yet. He wants to see how Sherman's going and make sure it's good, but we are in the process of that process, which is great news. Some of the parks are gonna get 1, some of them are gonna get 2, depending on the angles and whatnot.
Is there signage over there for, just saying that there are cameras?
I don't know, that's a good question.
When-
I feel like there
I
is.
can't remember.
My husband saw signs.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there is, but
Good,
And
that's
maybe
good.
we put up a second.
Good.
What's the feedback, Danielle, in the neighborhood?
Everybody's really
Freaking out
excited.
excited.
All the kids, I mean, they all know that I'm on the Parks Board, so they'll come by and ask questions, and I just keep telling them just a little bit longer, but they're all very excited. There's a new mom that lives on my street, she's like over the moon, cause she has multiple kids, and, there's nothing to do over there, so everybody's really excited. Even about the, walkway.
Yeah.
That's like there's a
That's huge.
Vietnam vet that lives over on
Yeah,
one
I talked
street,
with him.
and he is just so excited about just the walkway, just having a clear path, to walk, so everybody's really excited.
I've watched him every day.
Every
Come
day.
over and, how's it going?
Every day. But yeah,
That's been fun.
That's great.
everybody's really happy.
One of the little girls, well, she's a teenager, she said, I feel like we're not forgotten.
And that's
I
what-
almost lost it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
So that's what we want.
Your budget update?
So there is a page in here specifically. We talked a little bit about budget. Obviously, I need to get email to get a better laydown of that. There should be one in here. It's really small. No, I did not print that, I'm sorry, that's the one that I got last minute. But that's the dollar amount that I'm checking into with, that I sent the email for to get the ledger.
The general ledger?
The general ledger,
Yep,
yeah.
okay.
So that we can start having that every meeting. Already sent that email off, but I did, this is the thing I printed, and I'll explain that in a minute.
Okay.
I priority list. This is based off the Parks Master Plan, because we had talked about a list of, priorities moving forward after Goldman, and so I found this, I printed it, and it's basically based off of, it's a checkoff list, based off of the Parks Master Plan, of maybe some ways or things that we can use and have as a checkoff list as our next steps. So I thought that was really helpful. Sorry, it's so small, I'm trying to blow it up, I couldn't figure it out.
Can I ask, where are we at, okay, I'm always lost on this, where are we at on lights at Sherman?
So the Sherman lights are working, but they do,
On the basketball
on the
court?
basketball court. That's what we have.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Right.
not I'm just, we brought this up, we talked about the corners, we talked about, I just didn't know where that was left. And I'm guilty of not knowing that.
To my understanding, and when we last talked about it, we tabled it for right then.
Okay.
To revisit and have a
Right,
conversation.
because the concern obviously is, not concern, the dilemma is getting power to the lights, right?
Mhm.
It's a big cost, because
They
we
did-
would have to come, I think, off the basketball court somewhere, right? And then trench it out if we decided to do a couple poles.
Mhm.
I gotta get down there, I keep forgetting to come down. I came down the one night the guy was there and talked to him, and I didn't even think about looking at the lights, walking down it towards the backstop.
Yeah.
It's
It's
dark.
dark.
I
I used to
know,
walk home every night and it was still
I know,
dark.
I know.
That pathway would be
Yeah.
kinda scary.
One of the options, that I'm throwing out there, because I know an electrician that told me, the poles that are there, the electric poles that are there on the outskirts of the park, you could technically get with Duke and have them put a
Right,
spot on
you
those.
used to be able to, yes,
Mhm.
I don't know if that's still current, but yeah, and then there's a fee. Like if it were to go in your house, go to benefit your house,
Right.
then you would get a fee for that. Okay,
Is there any such thing as solar lights you could put on those poles
So-
to maybe do it without having to have electricity there?
I think it's something to explore. I don't know where we at, or, I know where Dave is, I'm pretty sure I know where you, I mean, obviously, the more illumination, the better. Understanding that you don't wanna keep some guy up, poor guy, trying to get sleep when he just got done running a third.
Mhm.
But, you know, I just kinda still I am scared to death of this equipment getting vandalized. And the more lights we put on it, to me, just is the better.
So what would you like me to do going forward?
I guess, he's gonna hate this. Sorry. Can we get a bid? Can we at least ask someone, what does it cost to put the correct lighting in that park?
The lighting plan,
Well, we had,
and we need to minimize spillage into somebody's window and in somebody's house, and
Right.
there are lights that they can do that with.
Right.
The equipment is.
And I don't wanna add on to this.
yeah, and my understanding and the conversation that Charlie and I had was that he was having those conversations. I don't know where he's at on those
Okay,
conversations.
so just a simple follow-up. Have we done anything about lighting? And what can we do to move that forward? Because I know I can call Phil Griggs up tomorrow, and he'll be down there in a couple weeks, and he'll walk it off, pace it off, shoot me a price for poles and hookup, and,
If it's a matter of somebody getting back with Charlie, which it sounds like that's probably,
it could
then
be.
I would say we need 3 bids. I can say to him, we just need 3 bids. Do you care where we get these 3 bids? That kind of thing. And if he doesn't, and he may be so overwhelmed that he may say, Jerry, just take it. He's done a couple things.
and I
And
get
I'll
that.
get that done, but
It'd be great if we could find one of those to be Duke, to see what they would come up
Mhm.
with,
Mhm.
and then maybe somebody
And I had
like you were
brought-
talking about.
Well, I brought that up too, as well as the pole lighting. I just don't know if it's available anymore, but it's simple to ask. I can't say it's simple. If you can get a human being to answer the phone.
so
But-
tomorrow, first thing I'm gonna do is get the finance, and then I'm gonna go to engineering, and have a conversation with them and let Charlie know so he feels like he's part of it, but find out a plan and get them on that. Does that sound right?
Yeah, we talked about this several times,
Yeah.
about the lighting. I kind of thought we were already, you know, and you're probably right, Charlie's probably done some stuff, we just don't know about it.
Okay, anybody else with old business?
Let me go back and ask on this equipment we just approved.
Mhm.
Has color been determined yet?
The color that's in that picture, the blues, the yellows, the grays.
Okay,
Did we
and,
vote on that? I don't remember voting on that.
Do you want?
That's fine, I don't really care.
yeah, did we vet this through baseball? And the only reason I say that is, this is visible from the diamonds and all,
Mhm.
right? And so what, do they have a point of view on the color?
I have
Just-
not asked.
What is their color?
No, I'm just saying that it's a backdrop.
Oh,
to
I
a
see,
ba-
like the
It's
green
to a
one.
baseball diamond,
Right,
right? And usually they have,
right.
we don't want anything that might distract from the batter, or from the game.
And if I can add my 2 cents, I've been told that the darker the color, the easier it is to cover up the graffiti. That the really light yellows and grays, it's harder to cover up the graffiti. Which makes sense.
You know?
But I would ask, you know, that's a good question to ask baseball, and that's a good question to consider. And I'm sure it doesn't make one bit of difference to Jason what color it is, and
Right.
that's the last thing for him to do, so it's no big deal to
And that's
change the
easy
color.
to
I wouldn't want that fourth grader to be denied a good hitter.
You're right.
So do you-
It's a very fair question. I'm being smart out.
I know, that's
But,
okay.
but, you know, I just,
No.
I have no issues with what
Nice
you're
to
asking.
include him in that, but that's no big, yeah. It's an easy question.
Anything else?
Well, I sort of feel like on this park, now knowing that one piece of ground between the fire station and their primary
Yes.
diamond there being owned by the city,
Mm-hmm.
does that change the way that we look at the investment in this park and the possibilities of this park? And where do we go with that? Because I feel like we've excluded it up until now because we were led to believe it wasn't owned by the city. And now we find out it is. How does that change baseball's view of how they can maximize the space at this park?
Is there room for a softball field?
Mhm.
I'm just saying, right?
Yeah, what is there room for there?
Because we have not talked about it at all.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about, that would be a nice, a new access point,
Yeah,
you know, to get
yes.
into the park, for sure.
Is there an apron on the flat?
No, but you would get in through the fire station.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, you could come in that way, if you could make an access.
And you have a utility road come up
Yes.
through that.
Yes.
That's all, I mean, I was thinking about that, that would be.
Much better
nice.
ingress and egress.
Well, that's another egg to crack.
It's almost like a long-term plan for Goldman, because they have a lot of needs, they have some current must, it seems like, you know, like with the building and, you know, with the ground. Those are kind of big things, immediate things. But they were talking about the wall and all those other things that, like, more long-term.
Yeah.
That would be great for them, but, you know, I don't think it's practical for us this year to try to help, you know, maybe, I don't know, but
Except-
maybe, and that's part of it, you know, to look into that, and maybe they could use that building, because remember, he said that would be a great building to, you know, have for them, or I don't know what, you know, what the plan is for that building. But, you know, gosh, an access point to get into there, because it's a pain, you know, if you only have one way in and one way out. It's such a multi-use facility and big, there's
Yeah.
so many people when you have baseball,
Right.
all the fields going at one time. It would not be nice to have a second access point. So, I mean, it almost seems like it, you know, needs its own independent
I
plan.
don't know, yeah. Well,
I don't know the
that's
answer
a
to
big
that.
conversation.
It is, and you know, as you
And I'm
look
not
at
trying to
that,
take away from it.
it almost
but
like,
I'm
you
looking
know,
at
I'd like
28
to
other
know now,
parks.
what does that park ultimately need to look like that best use the land?
well, you'd almost wanna put some of this equipment like on the backside.
The
you know, 'cause
Goldman's in
really,
it, Goldman's in here.
it is, but
Is
it
that-
doesn't have the extra ground part.
Does it assume that other ground is available?
I
It's
don't
not.
think so.
I don't think it does.
So
I
what
have
does
to go back.
so
and
what
look
does
at
it look like? Cause I'd hate to see them or us invest money in fields and backstops and walls and lights and all of a sudden.
Well, I think that's a good point. I think
thought
it,
I thought we had brought it up, and Greg had said his preference would be another field.
I would look to Steve to help us navigate that, because what's going on here behind closed doors would be my first question. Does the city have any aspirations to do something with it, right, before we even go down this road? Because we had a little difficulty even knowing it was available. So I would think at some point, and that's just a quick phone call to Steve to remind you, hey, can you check into that when you get a minute? They got any plans for this? What is the plan for the firehouse?
Nothing yet,
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
Right.
and I agree with you, Dave, I
We
agree
brought
with
it
you.
up, and it's something that they're starting to think about.
Yeah,
Now that
yeah.
the fire station
Yeah,
will be coming.
but then again, I'd still like to, I don't wanna go down this, but, you know, just that whole crap up against cliffs. If that ever started to, we ever started to even get close to thinking about that, that has got to get cleaned up.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. We have got to start cleaning this crap up and quit making homes for the homeless. Sorry. It's got to be cleaned up. And if it just goes up to their fence, fine. But hopefully they would get on board and want to encourage getting that taken care of. I get it, and to hide some of their factory, but it's a mess. And Greg just got paid for it with graffiti on their building over there.
Did they?
Yeah, you didn't, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and it,
I heard it was chalk.
like paint to me.
I
Anyway,
haven't
anyway, but I understand where you're coming from, Dave.
That would be a nice, like the overall question for Cliffs, because, geez, they could probably even name that
Well,
part.
yeah, this is, and I'm gonna bring this up here. Anything else for old business? Okay, new business. Okay, I don't know if any of you got, I sent out something from Middletown Connect that sent a memo, and Steve, I apologize, I may not have sent it to you, and I'm sorry I did
Yeah,
not,
it's all
and I'll send it to you, I was doing a lot of things that day and didn't think. So, I wanted to bring this up, because I've kind of gone back and forth with Dave on it a little bit, and Dave has helped me levitate back down to earth with my frustration on some of this. So if you notice that list that they put together and they sent to the city manager, or interim city manager, to me, it didn't read off like demands, but it's a group that's out there acting upon themselves in the sense of, I guess they're representing the city. I don't know where they're at in the city, how they fall in line. As representatives, they call themselves ambassadors. But I would like the board to at least, I wanted to at least acknowledge that they're kind of out there, in my opinion, not necessarily making promises, but bringing up these topics and then wrapping around, but sending this as though this is the way it should be, or this is the way we see it should happen. And we are not involved. When we had Middletown Connect, if you remember, I believe the young lady's name was Deanna. She came and she spoke about the group. She tried to explain what their function was. And I just feel like, and Steve, this might be more represented to you, or more pointed to you to help us, if you think it's worthy to bring up. But just to have some checks and balances, and do we have a group out there that's like making promises and making these interactions with these people, and now do they have hope that we're gonna be over there next day putting in a new park for them? When in fact, I thought the function of the park board was to address the park needs of the city. I get the other overall picture from them, but this was really constructed and very elaborate of what all needed to get done. And I will do everything I can to get it over to you, just so you can see it.
I mean, there's always gonna be those groups, community advocacy groups or whatever that are going to try and suggest slash tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure we serve everybody. It's not just gonna be specific areas, specific
Okay.
projects. I mean, we get that nonstop.
Right,
Nonstop.
right.
We get presentations from this group, that group, emails, calls, invites to these organizations, and you always have to look at it, okay, what's, it's sad to say, but nowadays you have to look at it and think, what's their motive?
Right.
You know, so we listen to them, and you know, a lot of times they have great ideas, but at the same time, you have to look at it and go, okay, here's the reality, here's what we can do, here's what we can't do.
So would it be, can we look to you to help us, and I'm speaking as a group, and I probably shouldn't have, but as for me at least, but that you will be here and basically say, look, you just don't go to the city manager and try and get your stuff ran through here.
Right.
And I'm hoping that Nathan has kind of the same outlook on this. That if you wanna come and talk to us,
Yeah.
come talk to us.
Exactly.
Another example of this is, we were sent an email about the Miami Erie Canal anniversary coming up next year. And that DMI, am I correct?
Yeah.
DMI wants to have some large boat built and put over at Smith Park as a celebration of the Erie Canal. So that got sent to us, and already, again, they went to Scott, and I don't know, I won't even go down that road, but they went to Scott, they went to everyone other than us.
Right.
Scott did direct them back to me, and then I said, Steve?
That's pretty typical, though.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are so many groups around here
Yeah.
that
Just
know
so-
the city has a little bit more money than we've had in the past, and they're just, ARPA is a blessing, but it's a curse.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
Because it brought everybody out.
Mhm.
you
Of the
know,
woodwork.
Yeah, it's like you're the new resident in the neighborhood, and every kid's coming up to sell Girl Scout food.
So the reason I just bring this up to the group is that I don't think, you and I have spoken a little bit about it, and you've been very good about, you know, Steve, look, we're on a mission, that's what you need to worry about.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that you're hearing or seeing, you know, that this is going on.
Yeah,
And I shot back an email and just said, look, if you wanna come and talk to us, come and talk to us. Talk to Jerry, she'll schedule a meeting, and we'll listen to whatever you have to say.
correct.
I did call Deb Morrison, and Deb Morrison did know about it, because I didn't, you know,
She didn't know about it?
No, she did. She
Okay.
did.
Okay.
And I said, it's got nothing to do with you, Deb, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware because of, I guess, where the location might be.
Yeah.
But I also let them know, and I would let every group know, it's a user park. We have several groups on it. The space is very valuable over there, and something that sounds like what you're wanting to do is more permanent. We need to take that all into account. And it was just to try and help them understand, we would like to know what's happening. Just wanted to get this out, put it on
Yeah.
record, and I'll leave it at that.
I think by the time Mary sent the email, she said that they were applying for a grant for it, and that's where the concern came in is, whoa, let's see
Right.
if this is
Right.
viable or not.
So that's where I was at on this,
Yeah.
just,
Just forward that to me when you think about it.
I will. Midway meeting with Dreamcatchers. When I spoke to Greg last, they were going to have a meeting with Dreamcatchers to kind of finalize what was going on. So I just wanted to mention that. He was going to let me know when that was. They were going to try and get a date, and I will send an email out to everyone if you would like to attend it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make that open, so that we're there to support both groups. Sherman Park, issues with the grade, okay, there, where the kids, the younger, playground set is, there's a little bit of change in the grade, it's a little higher than I think what they expected. We may need to come in with a section of border to help hold back a little bit and make it a little more friendly to mow a hill bank right there. They kind of cut into the hill a little deeper than I think they thought. And so when Jason and I were looking at it, I said, we gotta maybe do something here. I will field that over to Charlie. But me having just enough knowledge to be dangerous, I was kinda like, well, we may need to do something here. And we may need to spend a little money on some border to help hold that and get it set up correctly.
That's on the east side, along the east side of that side,
Correct,
right?
yes, yeah. They cut into that mogul, in my world, we call hills moguls, and where that went. And it's not bad at all, it's just that little section there, everything else. And I'm gonna be very curious how the mulch gets, once the mulch gets blown in. If you've been over there, there are little tags on all the poles. And that tag represents, the top of the tag represents the mulch height. That's what they'll put it up to. Plus, we also need to remember, I'm gonna ask Jason this, how much settling will we have from that over a year? You know, will we lose that 12 inches after some snow, rain, whatever? I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
And do they go a little bit higher on that? And that was on, I have a question for him on that. Asphalt, Sherman. So that was the road.
Okay.
So I'm still very much wanting to know, when can we get the street going? I just feel like that is really gonna make a big difference on that side street
Yeah.
and the alley.
Yeah.
The alley, sorry, exactly, and also for parking. Because I'd like to talk to them, because I think we can go to the east of that alley, cut that grass back quite a bit, and add some asphalt, so we at least have bumper to bumper parking.
That'd be great.
If not, some pull in and a little bit into the grass.
That would be great.
I still think we're making the right decision not putting some big parking lot in there. I
Yeah.
just do. I think we're spending that money in a better place,
Yeah.
right? But I really wanna get that figured out. I know Charlie will roll his eyes on it. I'm waiting on him to come back, but I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
And
That's a good point.
that we're not done there yet. And would love to try and get it done by end of September.
Yeah.
It's Labor Days,
We're done.
it's gone. I mean, I'm sorry,
We're cutting it too close.
but, you know, I would still like to have an opening over there, but we'll talk about that next meeting. We'll talk about
So the
that.
question is, I wonder when Sherman and Wayne streets are scheduled to be repaved, because it's at that time when you would do the alley.
Sure.
Because the crews are already there. And what do we need to do to prepare a design for that alleyway, so that
Right.
when the crews are there, that gets executed on?
So if we're not getting answers as far as streets that are suffice for you, I mean, is it a moment where we have to pull Scott at Tavish in and say, meet us at the park and let's have a conversation?
Yeah. Well, that's what it's gonna end up being.
Yes.
You also talked about who's paying for that, because, you know, as I'm sitting here, I was thinking initially, you know, like, you talked about having the city.
It comes
or-
out of the street levy. Alleys are part of the street.
Okay.
The
Steve, would you like
connectivity
me
of the
to just-
streets.
Email him,
Well, then the
everybody,
lighting too,
and set
because
up a
that was
time?
part, and I thought, well, wondered if they
Yeah,
charged all of
we
that.
might as well.
You know, could we have gotten $500,000 out of all of that? You know, I'm just trying to figure out how that could have come about, if you know what I mean, on the discrepancy of what we
The
have.
question I have about the lights is, we've heard the police say.
I know.
For
But I was just thinking the cost of
Yeah.
it. I mean, we
I
want
get
the, so, I was
That's
just
where-
thinking, okay.
And do we wanna have,
That's
when I
where I
call
was
that
headed.
meeting to meet at the park, just have a lights meeting then and try to get an engineer there
Yeah.
too?
Thank you.
Playing
Two birds.
devil's advocate, I would be afraid if you had a lot of pull-in parking, that would encourage drug dealers to pull in there and do their drugs.
If it was lit well, it might be less. Because part of the problem was, at least with a couple of neighbors that I talked to, they said that one section, you know, you could go up and pull into the parking area, and it was so tree covered in there, nobody could see it. You wouldn't see the car there from a cop just going down the side street. But now that that doesn't exist, and there's fairly good lighting, not great, but if, you know, if we could make the lighting better there in the alleyway, that would help tremendously.
The gal that sits on Sherman, her house faces the park, had me dying. She said, I'll go buy lights. I'll just put them up in my yard and flash them right at the park.
That's funny.
Yeah, could you see all of them doing?
Of course, I think that's
Yeah.
a question for the
Good.
police.
Yeah.
It's a question for the police to answer.
Yeah.
I agree.
I was trying,
But I thought.
one side
Simpson's trying
seems to
create
shine
a
brighter than the
solution
other,
to
and I'm
that.
trying,
That
I think it was
I'm gonna go over there tonight.
Refreshing. So I will get a meeting to talk lights and asphalt, all that kind of stuff, all in one, next week.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right.
Then an approval of the July park board minutes.
Should be in the very back. Sorry I make these so long, but I don't want to leave
no,
anything
it's
out.
good.
Okay.
Now, the packet you gave us,
Yeah, in the very back.
did you give us 2 packets?
I may have missed one.
Okay, that's okay, I'm
Yeah,
just
try
asking.
that one. Is that
The
out?
very last, should be the very last.
That's okay. Yep, thank you. Yep.
Does council get to see these minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once they're signed, I upload them to Amy's docket, and then they'll get them next board meeting.
So it says here Charlie's getting you contact numbers to 3 electricians to get started on adding more
He gave-
lights.
Yeah, he gave those to me, the electricians never called me back, he thinks it's because they don't know me, so it was left back for him to do.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. That's why I said, if they're not calling back, maybe we need to go with people we know.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 8th meeting.
Anyone want a second?
Second.
Roll call, Steve Lewis,
Yes.
Dave Pierce.
Yes.
Danielle Woodward. Yes. Julie Kaufman.
Yes.
Do you have a copy, or do you want me to pull this one off?
I have a copy, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
To sign.
Let me just do it now before I walk out, like I
Yes.
did last time.
Please, because then I have to track you down.
And then I think lastly, we have board comments. Julie, do you have anything? David?
None.
Doris, do you have anything about September?
Just
We'll
gonna
be at
ask
the
them.
River Center on September 21st. I sent the poster to the city today, hopefully they'll circulate it in appropriate amount of times, however, and I'll post it. It's on our website, you
Right.
can sign up there, September 21st, 9 to noon.
You usually have a pretty good turnout.
Yeah,
And Conservancy helps.
yeah, they
Right.
send somebody out there on the path to pick
Yeah,
up
yeah.
trash.
Right, right.
Butler Soil and Water is the one who really puts it on, promotes the t-shirts and stuff.
Danielle? I just have a couple of things real quickly, and one of them is, so am I to understand that, and there is a little bit of a chip with me on this one, as always, is just, this Oakland Park thing. They ended up getting equipment, correct?
Yes.
But we did not use Jason. Is there a reason why?
I have no idea.
It was somebody who they had used previously in the past. It was-
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't Snyder.
Okay. So can I ask, with Paul,
That might be where that 500 grand came from. It's not supposed to come out. We need to see a ledger.
That makes
We
sense.
need to see a ledger.
Oh, Chelsea, I'm gonna get on it.
Yeah.
that's a good, okay,
Because
okay.
it was right around for,
I asked for one and I got
Okay.
it.
Something.
All right, that's a
Yeah.
good, that's another good start. But I guess I'm still, this just was always Paul's pet project.
yep.
is like park board really, I mean, we just shouldn't work, and I'm not, Steve, I'm not making you answer this. And I don't really know if I want another problem right now.
It came
to
from
be-
a different account,
I understand,
so it came from CDBG money.
Right.
So that was something the city was in charge of.
okay?
And that was years in the making.
And, oh, yeah, it was supposed to be spent the last 3 or 4 fiscal years in allocations from CDBG, something like that, and then it finally did this year.
And I understood
Yeah.
all that, I guess we just don't worry about it,
Right.
okay?
It just sounds, I hear you.
I'm just
It's
really.
a park,
I'm just kinda lost on that.
it's a
Yeah.
park.
And it's all fine and dandy, I'm still scratching my head at it. But anyway, that was really all I had, so we'll take a motion to adjourn if no one has anything else.
Second.
First,
Who motioned it?
I'll motion it,
Second.
happy motion it.
Thank you, Steve, for being
Oh,
here.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
I know-
Thank you.
I know you're bu- I know you're busy.
Appreciate it.
So my office has moved again.
Oh, no.
Where are you?
I am now back in the city manager's office area.
That's a good, so who's,
But right now I'm
who's
floating.
doing it?
I don't have an
Who's
office.
doing it? You know the subcontractors?
I